The film begins with a young woman named Warim and her partner Kim, two experienced exorcists traveling to New York City on a dangerous mission to free a little boy from a demonic possession. When they arrive at the hospital where the child is kept, they immediately sense a dark, malevolent energy in the air. Warim asks the boy's family to leave the room, then begins chanting ancient incantations. Suddenly, a terrifying scream echoes through the halls. Moments later, Warim tells the frightened parents that their entire family is cursed, a demonic curse born from the vengeful spirit of their deceased grandfather, who's been haunting his bloodline, trying to destroy them one by one. She insists on meeting the child's father, Choi, at his home to learn more. That evening, Warim and Kim visit him. Choi explains that his older brother died by suicide. His father suffers from a rare paralysis no doctor can explain, and he himself has constant nightmares of a woman screaming in the dark. Warim confirms what she feared. The grandfather's restless spirit is behind all of it, and it won't stop until it wipes out every last member of the family, including Choi's infant son. Meanwhile, back in Korea, we meet the nation's most famous exorcist, Jin. We see him in a cemetery, opening an old woman's grave to release her trapped soul. When he examines her bones, he realizes her spirit is bound to this world because someone stole her teeth. He tracks down the woman's grandson and confronts him, revealing that his grandmother's spirit is in pain because of what he did. The boy breaks down, admitting he took the teeth because he missed her. Jin gently convinces the boy to return them to her grave, finally setting the tormented soul free. That night, Jin is having dinner with his assistant when Warim and Kim arrive. It turns out Jin was once their mentor, but it's been years since they last met. When he asks why they've come, Warim explains that she needs his help locating and destroying the grandfather's tomb, believing it's the only way to end the curse for good. At the same time, Choi argues with his parents, insisting they must burn his grandfather's body to stop the haunting once and for all. But his mother refuses, warning him that disturbing the grave will doom them all. Despite her fears, Choi turns to Jin for help, and together, they prepare for a dangerous ritual that could either save the family or unleash something far worse. Choi asks Jin to burn his grandfather's coffin, but without opening it. Jin is puzzled by the strange request, yet reluctantly agrees to help. That same day, Jin manages to locate the old man's grave, hidden deep in an abandoned mountain site. As he approaches, he notices the area crawling with snakes and wild animals, a clear sign that something dark and unholy resides there. The moment Jin lays eyes on the grave, a strange, sickening feeling washes over him. He kneels, scoops up a handful of soil, and tastes it, only to spit it out immediately. The taste is rotten, foul evil. Turning to Choi, Jin warns him that his grandfather's spirit is too dangerous, a demonic entity that will destroy anyone who disturbs its rest. He asks why the old man wasn't buried in the family cemetery, and Choi admits that his mother refused to explain. Later, Jin meets with Warim and Kim, telling them bluntly that the curse will consume them all if they try to unearth the coffin. He urges them to abandon the idea completely. But that night, a desperate Choi visits Jin again, begging for help. He confesses that two of his children have already died mysteriously, and he can't bear to lose his last surviving son. Still, Jin refuses, knowing the risk is too great. But Warim, moved by Choi's pain, steps in. She suggests a forbidden ritual, a sacrificial exorcism, that could allow them to remove the coffin safely and burn it without unleashing the demonic power inside. Jin hesitates, then finally agrees. The next day, they gather at the mountain grave. Jin, Warim, and Kim begin the ancient ritual. They bring 5 pigs and 5 men born under the Chinese zodiac sign of the pig. The men's foreheads are anointed with pig's blood as Warim begins chanting spells, her body moving in a trance. She dances wildly, slashing her own arm and dipping her hand into fire, before slicing open each of the pigs and drinking their blood to seal the ritual. When the ceremony is complete, she orders the workers to dig up the grave. The men obey, shoveling through the dirt until the old wooden coffin emerges. They lift it carefully and load it into the truck, ready to transport it to the cremation site. As Jin and his team prepare to leave, the workers stay behind to seal the grave. But suddenly, a strange serpent slithers out of the ground. One worker panics and kills it instantly. At that same moment, Warim hears a chilling scream, a voice only she can hear, echoing through the wind. She ignores it, forcing herself to stay calm, and gets into the car with Jean and Kim. Choi follows them in another vehicle, all heading toward the crematorium. But midway through the drive, the sky turns dark and a violent storm begins to pour down. Jean stops the car and warns Choi that burning a cursed body in the rain will only bring disaster. Left with no choice, Jean decides to store the coffin temporarily in the hospital morgue until the weather clears. But deep down, he knows something is terribly wrong. There's a dark secret hidden within that coffin, one that no one is prepared to face. Still suspicious, Jean returns to the mountain the next day. He asks one of the locals if he knows anything about the old man buried there. The man tells him a chilling story. The grandfather used to be a high-ranking police officer in Korea, incredibly wealthy, and when he died, his family buried his gold and jewelry with him. Over the years, many grave robbers tried to dig up his tomb, but every single one of them died the moment they touched it. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, one of the morgue workers gives in to greed. Believing the rumors about treasure in the coffin, he secretly opens it to steal the jewels. But Warim and Kim catch him in the act. They try to stop him, shouting for him to close it immediately. They're too late. The instant the coffin opens, a demonic force bursts out, slamming into Warim's body. The impact sends her crashing to the ground, writhing in pain before collapsing unconscious. She's rushed to the emergency room. When Jean hears what happened, he hurries to the hospital. As soon as Warim wakes up, she tells him in terror that the grandfather's spirit has escaped, and now it's no longer just a ghost. It's transformed into a vengeful demon, one that won't stop until it destroys every member of its bloodline. That night, the curse strikes again. The demon finds Choi's parents at home and kills them both in brutal fashion. Desperate to end it, Warim and Kim prepare a dangerous ritual, an attempt to trap the demon inside Kim's body so they can control it. Warim begins chanting powerful incantations, summoning the grandfather's spirit from the void. The ground trembles, lights flicker, and suddenly, Kim's body jolts upright, his eyes black as night. The demon has taken over. It mocks Warim, laughing through Kim's voice, taunting her that nothing will stop it from claiming every soul in Choi's family. Then, in a flash, the spirit bursts free from Kim's body and vanishes into the night. At that same moment, Choi sits alone in a hotel room, too terrified to go home. His phone rings. It's Jean. Jin's voice trembles as he tells him the horrifying news. Both his parents are dead. He begs Choi to stay in his room and not open the door until he arrives. But before Choi can respond, he hears knocking at the door, and it's Jin's voice again, calling his name. Now terrified, Choi doesn't know who to trust, the Jean on the phone or the one outside his door. The Jean on the phone insists he's the real one and tells Choi to open the window instead. Nervously, Choi obeys. But suddenly, Jin's voice on the line changes. It twists, laughing maniacally. The voice hisses, "You were so easy to fool. I'm already inside." At that moment, the real Jean bursts into the room, only to find Choi standing motionless, whispering in a strange, ancient language. Then Choi starts vomiting blood. Jean shouts for help, ordering a hotel worker to call an ambulance. But before they can react, Choi's head snaps backward 180 degrees, his neck breaking instantly as his body collapses to the floor, lifeless. Jean is stunned, realizing the demon has possessed Choi completely. Without wasting a second, he calls his team and orders them to take the grandfather's coffin to the crematorium immediately. At the same time, the demon's spirit reaches the hospital, where Choi's infant son is resting, the last living member of the cursed family. It moves toward the child to finish what it started. But just as the entity stretches its shadow over the baby, the coffin arrives at the crematorium. And what happens next changes everything. Just as the demon spirit is about to kill the baby, Jean and his team manage to burn the coffin in time, finally destroying the grandfather's cursed soul once and for all. But peace doesn't last long. The next day, Jean learns that one of the workers, the same man who killed the snake at the mountain grave, has started acting strangely. His eyes are blood red, his body trembling, and he keeps muttering the same word over and over. Snake, snake. Jean immediately realizes what this means. The man must have been possessed by the serpent spirit. To end it, Jean needs to find the snake's body and burn it. He rushes back to the mountain and begins digging at the gravesite. But what he discovers chills him to the core. Beneath the soil, hidden under where the grandfather's coffin once lay, is another coffin, enormous in size, far larger than any human coffin. Gene realizes with horror that this isn't a human burial at all. It's a seal for a demonic entity. Panicked, he calls Warim and Kim, telling them to meet him immediately. When they arrive and see the massive coffin for themselves, Warim warns Gene that whatever lies inside should never be disturbed, that if they remove it, it will destroy them all. But Gene, desperate for answers, ignores her warning. Together, they lift the coffin and take it to a friend's house, hiding it in the storage room. To contain whatever is inside, Warim sprinkles rice and pig's blood around the coffin, creating a spiritual barrier so the entity can't escape. Then Gene contacts an old woman, a relative of the deceased grandfather, and asks her to come. When she arrives, Gene demands to know the truth, why the old man was buried above a demonic coffin. The woman finally confesses. The grandfather was a corrupt police officer during Japan's occupation of Korea. He tortured and murdered countless prisoners, and when he died, no cemetery would accept him. So his family buried him far away in the mountains, unaware that the land itself was cursed. That night, Gene and his team decide to stay at the house to guard the coffin. But as they sleep, Kim begins to have a nightmare. In it, a massive creature straddles his chest, whispering in a deep, guttural voice, "I must take human entrails as an offering to the gods." Kim jolts awake in terror, feeling a dark presence moving through the house. He rushes to check the coffin and freezes in horror. Something inside it is moving. He calls for Warim, and together they open the door to the storage room. The coffin is empty. Whatever was inside is now loose. Kim wakes Gene, while Warim stays behind, staring into the shadows, until she suddenly sees a monstrous figure emerging. It's tall, grotesque, with animal-like features. The creature steps forward, revealing its terrifying form, a hybrid between a human and a fox. It speaks. "What are you, human?" Paralyzed with fear, Warim falls to her knees. She whispers that she is his servant and asks who he is. The creature grins, exposing sharp teeth. "I am a demon, and you will serve me, or I will feast on your liver." At that moment, Kim rushes in, armed and ready to attack. But before he can strike, the creature slashes him open with its claws, ripping out his heart and liver. Then, noticing a statue of an ancient god nearby, the demon begins chanting in an unknown tongue. Suddenly, its body ignites in flames, rising into the air as the entire room shakes. Moments later, Kim miraculously gasps back to life, but his condition is critical. Gene and Warim rush him to the hospital. There, Warim explains that the creature was once a human soul trapped inside a fox's body. Over centuries, it evolved into a humanoid demon with a corrupted spirit. Determined to end this nightmare, Gene returns to the mountain, digging deeper around the coffin site. Eventually, he unearths a human corpse buried beneath the demon's tomb, realizing it may be the key to defeating the creature. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Warim and a group of witches perform a ritual beside Kim's bed, chanting to cleanse him. But suddenly, Kim opens his eyes and whispers in a haunting voice, "I am the servant of the gods." Back at the dig site, Jin's discovery confirms his fears. The demon was part of a forbidden ritual, bound by human sacrifice. He rushes to meet Warim and the others, telling them they must destroy the creature before dawn. Warim warns that the demon fears sacred tattoos, symbols of divine protection. So, the team prepares, marking their bodies with holy tattoos to shield themselves in battle. As the sun begins to rise, they arrive at the ritual site. Gene turns to the team and says, "It will appear at dawn. We have one chance." Warim nods, ready to face the horror once more. Her task, distract the demon long enough for Gene to find the sacred relic capable of ending its reign of terror forever. As Warim explored the mountains, she noticed a strange-looking tree, its shape unlike anything she'd ever seen. The moment she laid eyes on it, the truth hit her. The creature wasn't born of myth, it was Japanese. After the war between Korea and Japan, his body had been desecrated, and his tormented spirit refused to rest. His soul merged with that of a fox, transforming him into a vengeful entity that now despised all humans, believing they were evil and deserved to die. That night, the creature appeared before Warim, but it couldn't harm her. Her body was protected with sacred tattoos. Snarling, It vowed to destroy her and everyone she loved, claiming they were all unworthy of life. Meanwhile, Gene and his assistant continued their desperate search inside the burial ground, hoping to uncover the sacred weapon that could end the monster once and for all. Suddenly, the creature sensed Jin's presence and attacked, ready to tear his heart out. But just in time, Warim arrived, throwing blessed blood onto the demon. Its body convulsed in pain, shrieking in agony. That's when Gene realized the sacred weapon wasn't metal or stone. It was wood. Grabbing a nearby wooden stake, he plunged it deep into the creature's chest, finally destroying it. Exhausted, Gene collapsed, and Warim rushed him to the hospital. Days later, Gene woke up. The evil spirit that had possessed Kim left his body, and everything returned to normal. Relief filled the team. They had finally ended the reign of the demonic fox. But even in their happiness, a chill lingered. None of them would ever forget what they had faced. Months later, Gene attended his daughter's wedding. His whole team was there, smiling, laughing, celebrating life together after so much darkness. Gene pulled them close for a photo, saying they were more than colleagues. They were family now. And that's how this terrifying journey came to an end. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more stories like this, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe and don't go near strange trees at night.